What's up, everybody? Welcome in another episode of Two Guys, One Mic. Doing a little different this week. We're in remote again. Josh has some car problems. Unlucky man, I don't know what to tell you.
Hey, you can't get it all, right?
You can't. I mean, you just
gave it to me. Thank you, Mom and Dad. But sometimes you can't always get so lucky with everything else.
right. I mean, just one of those nights. This is also take number 3. We had a little interruption earlier. Then we had no microphone on again. My bad. So we're going to get this one down good. We're going to have this one the way it's supposed to be. So we'll run through our teams again real quick. Luckily, we weren't too far in before we realized the mic wasn't on. Our first one we started with was Thursday. We said, thank God points were actually scored. Mike and I picked the Cardinals. Josh, you picked the Saints. The Cardinals ended up taking this one on a strong defensive showing. Anything from you guys you want to say about this game in specific, or are we good to move on?
That's great. Thank God for points.
Thank God for points. Amazon's saying the same thing right now. The next one was all three of us picked the Ravens over the Browns, and the Ravens came out. They tried to give it away at the end. We were saying, this division's just weird. The Ravens defense is not a typical Ravens defense. They're kind of giving things up at the end. Then our surprise game. What's up?
I'm saying it's funny how opposite the Browns and Ravens are. The Ravens get up big leads and then they blow it, and then the Browns are behind a lot and then they make a real big push at the end and they just come up just a little bit short.
Yeah, it's crazy. This whole division is crazy. We'll get into more about this division and strong reactions from it later. And then the surprise of the week was the Panthers beating the Bucks. Brady's just not looking good. He should have stayed retired. He shouldn't have come back. But this was just a poor performance all the way around. Mike Evans dropping a wide open touchdown. We were talking about how teams react when their coaches get fired and their best players get traded and they get fired up and they come out. Hubbard ran well. How'd Foreman do? You had Foreman, right?
Foreman did.
Yeah, he got me almost 17 points.
Yeah, Hubbard got me 15 or 16 points too. So they came out fired up.
Is it we talked about this obviously earlier, but is it something that we really need to hit the panic button on not only the Bucks but Brady himself? I mean, what's going on? What do you think is his issue?
I personally do. I think you need to panic. I think Brady, he's got a lot of things going on right now, and everybody jokes about the divorce and all that stuff, but Father Time's undefeated against players. I don't care how well you do your diet and your training and all that. He's 45?
Yeah.
That's just old to be playing as a top-level quarterback. It's not like he's the punter or the kicker who can do that. He's trying to play quarterback. I think Father Time's just catching up to him. He's not it.
The one thing I can say... Sorry, go ahead, Mike. You
go ahead.
No, you go ahead because I'm going to mention something in the total.
I was just going to say what he said about Father Time, but also, that stuff at home is probably weighing on him. I mean, like you said, everybody jokes about the divorce and stuff, but it's probably a lot of stuff he's going through, so his mind's just not there.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think the divorce or whatever's going on in his personal life is definitely affecting. But the one thing I can say with, obviously it's early, but they're really not that far behind. So, I mean, if they get things clicking again, I don't see them being a huge disappointment for this. But it's definitely not the Brady, the Bucks and the Brady team that we thought they were going to be.
Yeah.
And that's really the real difference.
That's a good point. I mean, they're only a game behind Atlanta right now. So, or are they all tied, or are they a game behind now?
They're tied.
Yeah. So I would have guess not necessarily saying hitting the panic button, but your hands hovering over the top of it.
Right.
Your hands hovering over the top of it. So, and then it was Cincy, Atlanta, because Atlanta lost to Cincy too. So I think I kept the Bucks in Atlanta at the same. and the Saints lost. And who else is in that division?
Carolina.
Oh yeah, and Carolina. Carolina's just matched. So I think Atlanta and Tampa Bay are tied for the top of that. But I think they're 3-4. I think they're tied at 3-4.
Yep, 3-4, and then 3-4.
Yeah, so.
And 2-5 are the other two teams. So I mean, it's really wide open there.
Yeah, so
it's like the NFC East of last year.
Yeah,
there's quite a few divisions that are like that though, where they're all just. I mean, the AFC North is not far off of that. It's pretty bad. The Browns and Steelers are 2-5. I think the Ravens are 3-4, and I think the Cincy's 4-3. Right?
It's a lot more like closer races than I think we thought. I think we thought there was going to be a lot of like bigger teams that were going to be just outplaying the rest of their division. Now there's like a lot of competitions, good or bad, right? So
I mean, like
the East is.
We thought more. All the divisions will look more like the NFC North, where there's a clear-cut number one team, and then the rest are just kind of fighting through there. But, but anyways, we all picked Cincy to beat Atlanta, and that came through. And then the next game, Josh, this is where you took one of your L's that I don't think you really had to, but you felt like you did. You went with our adopted team Lions, and Mike and I went with the Cowboys. And I mean, I'm not gonna sit here and pound the drum and be like, "Yo, Cowboys, yeah," because right up until about third quarter, I was sweating that we were gonna be wrong and Josh was gonna be right, and he was gonna come in and letting us know what's up. And then all of a sudden, the Jared Goff turned to Jared Goff, and the Cowboys defense started stripping the ball and showed that they're a dominant defense.
It's not how you start. How you finish.
You are right, and it ended up being a blowout game, but they made you sweat a little bit. They made you sweat.
And the Cowboys, I like the move to show up that defense a little bit more. They just made yesterday.
I missed it
with Jonathan Hankins.
Oh, the D lineman, right? He's D line.
Yeah, from the Raiders. They gave up a 6th-round pick for him.
But did you see the trade that same division made, though?
Yeah, we're going to talk about this big trade soon.
Okay.
Let's wait until that game, but I think it's going to be... That was a good move.
Yeah, it's a good move, but it's not going to pay off this week. I'll tell you that. Foreshadowing. The next game was the Giants-Jags. Dude, this close for having the Jags pull that off. That was nuts. That was like the Rams-Titans Super Bowl ending right there. But the Giants ended up pulling it off.
The Jags?
What's that?
Did you both pick the Jags?
No, all three of us picked the Giants.
Oh, okay.
But it was so close. It was really close. Jags are... What's that?
Just for you, Karen.
Yeah.
Mom. You know what I'm saying? We got to support Mom.
It's still there, bud.
Okay, so I feel like this is something to talk about. Are we giving a little bit of credit to Daniel Jones now? Like, is he a pretty, like... I mean, I'm not saying he's a great quarterback by any means, but do you appreciate his abilities? No?
I don't want to. You know where I'm giving credit? The defense and Saquon.
I agree.
The defense and Saquon. But, and the reason I say that is because Saquon coming back to Saquon's form and being able to run the way he is opening up the passing game and is opening up the where Daniel Jones can take off running. Because they're focused on Saquon.
He's lack of turnovers has been a big thing for him. I think you got to give him that. Like he was always bad with turnovers. I think he's playing well he's a systems quarterback on a team that needs a systems quarterback, right?
Yep.
The run game is good, defense is good. It's a perfect fit.
Yeah, a lot this week on Facebook. A lot was thrown around about game managers, and I think Daniel Jones would be a good example of a game manager.
Yeah.
So what do you think? Do you think he's shown somewhat enough right now for the Giants to give him a new deal, or do you think he's got to prove a lot more still?
If I were the Giants front office, I would offer him a 1-year contract. and give him a one more prove it year because I don't know where you go right now to try to get a better quarterback than what he is.
Yeah.
You know, he's not great. He's not great, but I don't see any free agents that are going to be like unless there's like a big name free agent that's like worth it to go get. Then you let Daniel Jones walk out. But like right now, I think you keep him for at least another year because they're obviously if they keep going the way they're going, they're not going to have a high draft pick. You know, and then there's who do you go to get free agent?
And before the start of the year, I had them at 8 wins, so 2 more wins, and that's it.
Yeah.
I think I had them at 4.
Anybody thought so?
Well, I think the 3 big keys for them. Obviously, I already said it. Saquon, come back, me and Saquon. I would put that at 3. 2 would be the defensive improvements. I think the second best thing they did was their defensive improvements, and I think their number one thing is grabbing that coach. I think he's done a great.
Dable, right?
Yeah, Dable. I was calling him DeBull earlier. What is Dable or Dabble, right? Dabble. He's made a huge difference. I'm looking at Mike. I'm like waiting for him to jump in and correct us. But I think he's been doing great. They're playing well for him. So.
That's what happened to that Ravens defense because that Wink Martindale, he's the Giants D coordinator now. He came from Baltimore's defensive coordinator position. Now, I mean, he's carrying that over to the Giants because Baltimore's defense they can't hold on to things.
Yeah, they're struggling. So
their first round draft pick too, man. He's Thibodeau. Whatever his name is there, he's playing really well. I saw one play where he like ran down the field for like 60 yards or something, caught the running back. That's pretty impressive.
Yeah, now you know why Giants fans were panicking in preseason when he went down with that knee injury.
Yeah.
Who's the Giants one lost to so far though? I forget. I remember
those guys there.
I got it.
But you guys are obviously undefeated, right? Oh no, that's right. You lost to
2 teams.
We lost twice.
So it's.
But wait, who was the first team that beat you?
Tampa Bay.
Oh, and who beat Tampa Bay?
And we're gonna go with this.
Do you want to join in, Josh, or you don't have anybody to say you beat?
Well, listen, we beat Tampa Bay too. I get it. So
But let's be honest, Tampa Bay. After this week, I'm like, I looked at Erin after I go, Erin, the Carolina just beat Tampa Bay, and I looked at her and she goes, that win wasn't as good as you thought it was last week. And I was like, no, not anymore. Not anymore. So now to our next game. Josh and I picked the Titans. Mike, you had the Colts. The Titans pulled it off. The Colts have benched Matt Ryan for the rest of the year. They're going to the rookie Ellinger. So
injury was maybe like a thing that they were like, oh, maybe because of injury. No. They don't want Matty Ice in there.
They're like, no, wrong formula. Old man at quarterback, not working this year. So
Jonathan Taylor was back. I mean, obviously
he hasn't been running well either, has he?
What's that?
He hasn't really been running that well yet, has he?
Yeah, well,
no, he's been kind of depressing so far.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, compared to he was hurt for a little bit there, but
yeah,
give him time. Their offensive line isn't looking anywhere near dominant that they were the past couple of years. And that's probably a big deal.
That is, I mean, that's one of the most undervalued positions in the NFL is the line. I mean, look at what the Cowboys were for years when they didn't address their line, and then they went and addressed it. They got Zach Martin. They had Tyron Smith. They grabbed the center there, Frederick.
Frederick, yeah.
Yeah, and then all of a sudden they were like winning again. I mean, the offensive line is such an undervalued, but it's such an important position on the field. At least I think so.
I think the year Jerry Jones actually wanted to draft, I want to say it was Manziel.
Yeah.
Steven told him to take Zach Martin instead.
Yeah.
And that paid off.
If I remember correctly, there was like a pretty heated debate in the war room whether or not to take Manziel or Martin. Yeah. And Steven finally won it.
Yeah, I'm glad Steven talked them into it because, man.
Yeah.
He's a big piece for you guys, obviously.
Yeah.
And the next 1 o'clock game, or the next game we had, I don't even know if it was 1 o'clock or not, but the Commanders pulling off the victory.
I knew this was the laugh. I was like, okay,
Over-
this gotta be it.
Over the dominant Green Bay Packers.
15-2 Green Bay Packers.
The 15-2 Green Bay Packers losing to the Washington Commanders. But you said there was a wild card last week, and he came in and was a wild card. So there was one other key factor in this game. Allen Lazard did not finish the game. He went out. And I think that hurt the offense. Because I don't think Brady's got that connection with anybody else yet. He doesn't trust him.
You mean Rodgers?
Or Rodgers, yeah. Well, Rodgers, Brady, it's one in the same.
Yeah. When we're talking about panic button, I'm hitting that thing so hard right now. It's not even a question. I'm just like slamming it as hard as possible because this is bad. It's not good.
So
Straight losses.
Yeah.
It's looking like more closer than we expected here. I mean, it's frustrating. It's frustrating to say the least. The hardest part about it is that they always seem to, like, the second half. They cannot get it together the second half.
I've heard a lot of negative talks about Rodgers right now, too, which is surprising. A lot of he's not playing up to what he should be playing right now, and he's not taking accountability for it.
Yeah, he just doesn't have anybody, like, any weapons that he trusts, that security blanket, right? I mean, Cobb's out. He's not the greatest player, but he's always been one of his guys.
Yeah, he's a reliable person for him.
Right, reliable.
If I was the Packers, I'd blow this thing all up, rebuild, and that's it.
And I'm curious.
Fun.
I'm curious, Josh, what you think of this, because I do have a friend on Facebook who's been vocal about the Packers. He's a Packers fan, and he's not liking Rodgers' play right now. And he brought up a point: why not blow his team up, kind of, but put Love in right now, since you're not going to win with Rodgers anyways, the way he's playing, and let Love get time and start getting used to Love. I mean, you're not going to win anyways. Might as well put the guy that's going to be the future in, right?
Yeah, I don't know. It's depressing. I don't think even Love's got it, so we'll see. I mean, we'll see.
I mean, you could always dip into
You gotta still think Rodgers can pull something off, though, right?
I'm not worried about Rodgers as much as I think a lot of other people are. I'm worried more about their inconsistencies on defense and their lack of ability with the play calling with using our running backs. Like, where is A.J. Dillon? Like, there's nothing there. I mean, they'll have like 1 or 2 games that we should be running down people's throats, but obviously our offensive line isn't necessarily the best right now. We're a little hurt there, but I don't know.
It'll be very interesting to see what happens around trade deadline, because I think although the Packers are in kind of a panic mode right now because they're not used to this. I mean, this is like this is like the first time in a long time where you lost 3 games in a row.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if it was.
But trade deadline will be interesting for the Packers. See if they make some moves.
They never make moves. It's not going to happen. So let's pretend like we're going to pretend to get a player or get a free agent. It's not going to happen. We're just going to stick with what we got.
Yeah. So I don't know if you guys follow like if you follow the Packers and you follow the Cowboys fan pages on Facebook or not, but the Steelers fan pages are notorious for as soon as there's some kind of turmoil on a team that has a high value of a defensive player, they start calling for that defensive player to come to Pittsburgh.
Is it Alexander?
I literally laughed when I saw that they were like, well, we should try trade Claypool and get Jair Alexander. And I was like, they are not even close to being on the same level. Like, we could trade Claypool and get like a third, maybe a 4th or 5th round pick for him, but you're not going to get Jair Alexander for Chase Claypool. But the Steelers always, the fan base always goes to like, we're going to get the best defensive player out there to come to our team. It's crazy.
Donald? Well, we'll throw something.
Oh, dude, when J.J. Watt got bought out by the Texans and he was a free agent, it was all over the fan page that he was going to come join his brothers at Pittsburgh. They're going to have a Watt reunion in Pittsburgh. I was like, we can't afford Watt to come here. But that's just their fan pages.
At least last week, anyway, I thought, I mean, we'll get to that game, obviously, but Pittsburgh's D, I thought, looked pretty decent.
We'll get to that
We'll
game.
get to it.
We'll get to that
Okay.
game. The next game, I went with the Jets. You guys went with the Broncos, and the Jets pull it off. They won. Broncos are another team that's in panic mode right now. Blow it up. Just start over. I hear Judy's on the trade block. I've heard rumors of possibly Chubb being traded. The Russell Wilson experiment is not going well. I know he didn't play last week, and he probably is not going to play this week, but it's just not going well in Denver. And now all the stories are coming out about how hard it is to get hold of Russ Wilson and how he's not a good teammate. You got to go through his managers to get a hold of him and stuff. It just
Two Russes, man, they are really having a hard time. We know who the other Russ we're talking about, right?
Yeah.
Well, you see, Durant came out and defended him in the news the other day. Told everybody to leave him alone, get off his back.
Yeah.
But yeah, Jets are still playing well. They're playing very well right now. So maybe they can keep that one riding.
They lost a huge piece. Hall going down.
Yeah.
And then they just traded for James Robinson. So I mean, we'll see.
I mean, Hall I think he had his name just about etched on the Rookie of the Year award until his
100%.
knee went out, and that's unfortunate. I don't like seeing that happen. It will be interesting to see what happens now. Maybe they start passing more. Maybe now Elijah Moore comes alive, or Garrett Wilson comes alive. But it'll be interesting to see what happens.
Yeah.
So, then the next game we had, Josh, you and I took the Raiders. Mike, you took the Texans, hoping that Davis Mills was going to bring you some luck in fantasy. Plus, you need to make some moves to try to make some ground up. So, the Raiders got a win that they needed. Other than that, I didn't see much. So,
the picking of the upset, it didn't go well for me, but fantasy-wise, he did what he had to do for me. 20 points for me. So
He did well.
Or 19.
Nice.
19 something, yeah.
Nice.
I'll take it.
Yeah.
The big performance was also on your team though. The scrub running back that I said has no chance.
Come on.
Jacobs,
man, he had 3 touchdowns.
did he? Oh, that's right. Jacobs has been balling out.
144 yards or something like that, and 3
Yeah,
touchdowns.
3 touchdowns. The last
Monster.
3 weeks for Jacobs has been like 34, 36, 33.
For fantasy.
Yeah. Killing it, man. You definitely won that trade just with that, just getting Jacobs alone.
And today, so here's a heads up for you guys. If you're higher than me on the waiver wire, he dropped Dobbs. So Dobbs is out there.
Yeah, we don't want Dobbs.
Imagine you getting back Dobbs too. You know, I have a number one waiver. I'm not moving my spot for Dobbs.
There's nobody worth waiver right now.
Well, maybe I'll take him back.
That would be funny. Who did you trade with to get Jacobs again?
Hubbard.
Yeah, but he got Richard,
Who's been playing well.
Who's been playing really well too. But I mean, once his name comes back, Harris, I think he came back on Monday, and
that helped. We'll get to that game too, huh?
And you got what's his name? You got the receiver for them, Myers.
Yeah.
Which he plays.
He had a touchdown.
Yeah, he had a touchdown.
Too.
Yeah.
Then on to the next game. Speaking about making a bad trade, I thought you were going to cost me a last place spot, Josh, by trading Walker away. I thought Walker was going to win that game between Kevin and Dark Dog alone, and I was going to be very upset with you. Walker has turned into quite a player for Seattle. And Seattle took the Chargers, and we all picked the Chargers over the Seattle. But Walker was awesome. He played amazing.
He did play good.
I think he has a potential of being a stud for some time to come here.
100. I'm looking at it now. 168 in yards. That's insane.
Yeah.
I mean, the Chargers defense is complete garbage, and they've been terrible. I mean, they do have some injuries, but that's like their issue right now. Obviously, injury bug, and then their defense is bad.
Well, some of their high priced free agents that they got on defense haven't been doing nothing. J.C. Jackson was doing nothing, and then he blew his knee out.
And they blew his knee out. But Mac, I haven't heard anything with Mac, right?
Nope. I haven't heard Mac. You haven't heard much about Bosa anymore.
Chargers are so up and down. Like, you never know with the Chargers. One week they'll look like awesome, then the next week they just, I don't know what happens to them.
Yeah, I don't know. They're the Chargers. The Chargers are the Chargers, you know. You went mute, bud. Is he talking to us or Jack?
Sorry, I'm talking to Jack. I was trying to get him to get my charger for me slowly or sneakily. But
yeah, so the Chargers they're another one that needs to click it together. Although Eckler's been playing well for me lately. Although this week they're on a bye, so he can't do anything for me this week. But then on to the next game was what you guys thought was going to be a good game, but somebody last week predicted this to be a rolling a game that the KC was just going to roll over the 49ers. Mike, you and I went with KC. Josh, you were rolling with a CMC machine. KC just flexed its muscle and dominated the Niners.
Yeah. I mean, I thought their defense was going to be a lot better than it was, but obviously giving up 44 points, I mean, come on.
Yeah.
Jimmy G's not making a case so far to get that job back either.
No. Yeah, it hasn't been great.
Yeah, and in case you're wondering, I did get an update about how hard it is for the Kansas City Chiefs to score without Hill. Just throw that out there. But, yeah, the KC's strong, man.
What's their, I mean, do they have, who was there? Let's see here. They really just spread the ball out a lot.
McCole Hardman had 3 touchdowns.
Oh, and then Juju had 124 yards.
Yep. Juju had a good game.
And then MVS had 111 yards.
Yeah, he had a couple catches that were like bombs. Like 49ers just stopped covering him for some reason.
He finally went to a team that knows how to use them.
I mean,
instead of 7-yard slants.
I mean, it's weird how one game for 111 yards is going to be considered, you know, if you want to check his stats for the year, but, I mean.
Okay.
I'm just saying, you know, we throw a shade, but, you know, one game.
Okay, guess we're going to have to wait till the end of the year to compare. Year and year. So.
We'll see. We'll have to stat check it for me, please. Thank you.
Oh, man.
I'll get it for you.
Now we're on to the Sunday night game, which was probably the most frustrating game for me to watch all year long. First of all, Pickett needs to stop trying to be a hero. He's trying to be a hero. So the Dolphins beat the Steelers by 6, right?
16-10.
16-10. I told you it was going to be a low-scoring game, but I said 17-14. But at the end of the game, Pickett had a chance to be the hero. And instead of running and getting the first down and going on of bounds, he tried to throw a touchdown. And it was just a horrible throw.
Interception.
Horrible throw. Picked off at the goal line. Nice toe tap.
Yep.
However, I want to blame the defense for this game. I really do. Because they dropped at least 3, I think maybe 4 interceptions, right through their hands, dropped them, which would have turned the game right around. But they also let the Dolphins score on their opening drive, and then they scored 9 points the rest of the game.
Right. So
if it wasn't for the defense, they wouldn't have been in the game. But if it wasn't for the defense, they probably would have won the game too. You know what I mean? But Pickett's trying to do too much, and he's forced.
It was a winnable game for sure.
Yeah, they were in it.
For you guys,
They were in it, And if he would have ran and just gotten out of bounds, I'm not going to say they would have won that game, but they would have had a better shot at the end zone. Who knows? The next play, he probably would have thrown an interception. I've heard a lot of comments of that Kenny is putting the pick in Pickett. So,
hey, it's a rookie, man.
Yeah, rookie mistakes. Yeah, you can notch up to rookie mistakes, but I just think he's trying to do too much. He's not taking what the defense is giving him. He's trying to win games, and he right now he just needs to take what the defense gives him.
Manage the game.
Work in progress.
Yeah, it's a work in progress. So.
Well, you guys, I mean, as Tua came back, obviously his first game back, and he didn't look that great. I mean, his stats are showing like pretty decently, but I did watch a good part of that game, and some of his throws, like you said, were kind of like there was some questionable stuff. Where before he was like, I felt like he was super accurate.
Yeah.
At the beginning
well,
of the season, so.
This was the first game that I can think of watching that Pittsburgh made an adjustment to their defense mid-game. So their opening Miami's opening drive, they were leaving the wide open in the middle of the field. Their linebackers were coming up, and their safeties were playing back, and he was hitting Hill and Waddle in the middle for like 16-yard gains at a time. Right. And they marched right down the field and scored. Like, no problem. And then, after that, they started bringing Minka down and putting him in the center of the field. And it took away that wide open in the middle. And, like I said, the rest of the game, they only scored 9 more points. So it was good to see that they actually started to make adjustments. Now they just need to make offense adjustments along with the defensive adjustments.
Pickens has been playing pretty well.
Who?
Pickens.
Yes.
Yeah.
He's been starting to come alive a little bit, so that's a good sign.
He had his first touchtouchdown. He got his first touchdown.
They said,
and it was a heck of a catch, too, for that touchdown.
He's going to be a stud. I wouldn't be surprised if in a couple of years he's our number 1 receiver.
For sure. I was listening to a podcast the other day, and they said, you know how the Jalen, what's his name? What's the one that the Eagles picked up in the draft?
Rager
and Justin Jefferson. You know how they picked Rager first over? They're like this is the Christian Watson and George Pickens situation where with the Packers, should have picked Pickens. And I'm just like, I like Watson, but or Christian Watts. Is it Watts or Watts? I don't even know.
He's on your team.
I know. Watson, thank you. I feel like I'm just going crazy, but I don't know.
So you're saying in a couple of years here, the Packers are going to let him go, and he's going to end up on the Steelers, just like Rager ended up on the Vikings to play alongside Justin Jefferson.
I mean, maybe. Might have to happen.
That's nice to know. It also gives me another bullet in my chamber here of players that Packers should have taken and didn't, and they went to Pittsburgh. And it's kind of funny that you can't remember if his name is Watts or Watson, and we took Watt from you when you guys didn't pick him. So
thank you. I appreciate
just gotta throw that one in there.
That was a really good one. Appreciate that.
So it wouldn't be an interaction between the two of us if I didn't bring up T.J. Watt. Could have been a Packer at least 4 or 5 times.
Single time.
I gotta bring it up like 4 to 5 times just to remind you. So, but anyways, this week the Bills, the Rams, the Vikings, and the Eagles all had byes, which keeps my prediction alive that the Eagles will be undefeated until they play the Steelers. So, but we'll get into that in the next one. So,
I got one game.
What's that?
Monday night.
Oh yeah, well I would like to try. There was something I want to say about Monday night game. So the Pats disappoint. They lose. They don't know what they're doing at the quarterback right now. The Bears pull it out. But I noticed how much better the Bears play in horrible weather than they play in regular weather.
Interesting.
Have you noticed that?
Right, because the first game.
Two of their wins. Two of what? They have 2 or they have 3?
They have 3 now. I think
yeah.
They have 3 now.
So 2 out of their 3 wins came in prime time with horrible weather. The
I don't know
Niners.
if that's coincidence or not. I feel like it's a little bit of a stretch.
Is it?
Fields looked a lot better. I felt like he looked a lot more poised out there. Their run game,
Yeah.
obviously.
And he saved Dark Dog's game and then helped me
Yeah.
get out of last place. So I'm appreciative of Justin Fields this week.
Yeah, it was a surprising game, that's for sure.
But the Pats, they don't know. Are they Zappy or are they Mac? They don't know.
The crowd wanted Zappy back, I'll tell you that much.
Did he? So I didn't watch the whole game. I watched like half of it, and then I fell asleep. But last I saw, Zappy was playing. Did Mac come in? Did Mac come in the second half?
Did Mac get hurt?
No, Bill just pulled him. He only had like 3 passes when Bill pulled him. Zappy came in.
I don't know if you go back to Mac Jones now. I mean, I'd say go with Zappy again, but I don't know. It's a tough situation.
I'm just surprised they threw Mac Jones away that quickly. If they truly do, if they go back to Zappy, it just surprises me that in his second year they're like, nope, get out of here. You know, you're done.
Maybe there was more. Maybe there was really something like beyond, what we know, because obviously Bill Belichick says nothing.
Yeah, he's very secretive. And maybe you could be right. There could have been more to the injury that they weren't letting on to, and
Right.
that's why they held him out. It's because he actually was
Right.
hurt. He wasn't fully recovered. It's possible.
I don't think. I think Mac Jones is the better player by far. I think Zappy's had a good time, done well, kind of like the Cooper Rush kind of situation. It's not gonna change things.
Yeah. So. All right. So that's all our games for this week. We'll get our next video in here, our next episode, or half of this episode with our pick'ems for next week. Already into week 8, halfway through the season. So maybe next week we'll do some mid-season awards.
Did we talk about? I remember talking about the Cowboys. Did we talk about them this?
Yeah. We didn't get to the Cowboys in the other takes.
Man, I'm like really off, I guess.
Is there something on your mind, bud? You want to bring up the Cowboys? Mike does not worry. Mike does not mind talking about the Cowboys.
No.
Especially when you bring up that Cowboys D. He gets excited.
This is water. Promise.
So, alright then. Well, if there's nothing else you want to say about the Cowboys real quick.
I'm good.
Alright. So then, until next time, we got 2 guys.
You guys,
One mic.
Peace.
let's go.